Hello, welcome to the Team SNG deck profile. Today we're going to be talking about the Tenyi deck profile. It's gotten a lot of power boost from the Link 4 monster that was in Dual Overload. And there's been a few other changes I've made to the deck since it was last profiled on the channel. If you guys like this, you can check out the previous deck profile. The link will be in the description below. Also, make sure you guys leave us a like, comment, and subscribe. It really keeps me motivated to keep making more of these videos for you. If you want news on upcoming profiles, check out the team's Facebook page. That's also in the link in the description below. Feel free to go over there and like us there and follow us there, and that'll keep us all on the same page. Once I have been a following over there, I will start doing sort of votes. You know, I'll be putting out multiple deck profiles. Which would you like to see next? But for now, keep your eyes tuned to the Facebook page for news of upcoming videos. And keep yourselves tuned to that subscribe button, because you hit that, you'll catch everything that comes out. Alright, so this deck's changed a little bit. The whole point of this now is to get into the Link 4. If you can get into the Link 4 with the Link 2, you end up with a really interesting board, which you can see in the test hands video that will be coming out later this week. Link to that will also be in the description below once it's released. Alright, and without further ado, So the first monster we run is Tenyi Spirit Hara. This is our tuner, but it's also our level 1. All the main deck Tenyis have the same effect, which is when they're in hand, if you control no effect monsters, you can special summon them. So, that's great. They also all have an effect in the graveyard. If you control a face-up non-effect monster, you can banish them to do something. So Tenyi Spirit Hara, you can banish him to add one of your banished Tenyis back to your hand. The next Tenyi we run is 3 copies of Tenyi Stana. Tenyi Spirit Stana, probably one of the best protections this deck has. If a non-effect monster is destroyed while this is engraved, you can banish this to special summon back that non-effect monster and destroy one card on your opponent's side of the field. So that can be really useful for removing problem monsters. Also, the destruction effect is non-targeting, so that helps you get around anything that's got targeting protection. Next is 3 copies of Tenyi Spirit Nahata. Nahata's so good in battle. If your opponent attacks a non-effect monster, you can banish Nahata to decrease your opponent's monster's attack and defense by 1500 points. So this is also really useful because the effect does protect our non-effect monsters, some of which can be quite beefy. Finally, for the protections, we run 1 copy of Tenyi Spirit Mahapura. Mahapura is your targeting protection. You banish this to negate the effect of something that targets your non-effect monsters on the field. Now we have our removal Tenyi, and that is Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha. Vishuddha can banish himself to bounce something back to the hand. And finally, we have our best extender, Tenyi Spirit Ashuna. Now this is basically one of the best combo starters this deck has, because if you control a non-effect monster, you can banish this from the grave and special summon a Tenyi Spirit from the deck. Alright, so that does it for all the Tenyi Spirits that we run. We run a few more monsters that can just generally support the Worm archetype, which is what all the Tenyis are. The first is actually not a worm, it is just Gene Warped Warwolf. This is a non-effect monster, level 4, that you can summon with 2000 attack. And if this is on the field and any of these Tenyi Spirits are in the grave, boom, you can use them. So this is just a way to get around not having access maybe to the Link 1s, because the Link 1 is normally what you're going to use as your non-effect monster to trigger your Tenyis in grave. We also run 3 copies of Mermare. This is, as alluded to in the intro, this is what was suggested. I should be running 3 and not 1. Previously I was running, I think, 2 Mermares and 2 Needhogs. Now I'm running 3 Mermares. Mermare is so good because it's just an extender, it's a token generator, and it makes it so this deck can get into its big boss monster really easily. And then I still run 1 Needhog. I really like Needhog. All you have to do is, if this is on the field, you have to send a worm to the grave and you can negate the summon of a monster. So this can be really useful if your opponent's playing something that's super normal summon reliant. Because if you can get rid of that monster, and negate that summon, then you're in really good shape. Finally, for the monster lineup, I run 3 copies of Ash Blossom. I had space, and I'm not a massive fan of hand traps, but I had space, and Ash Blossom is one of the best generic sort of hand traps out there. And that does it for the monster lineup. On to the spells. First spell that we run is the Tenyi field spell, Flawless Perfection of the Tenyi. What this does is, if you control a non-effect monster and your opponent special summons a monster, you get to draw 2 cards. Also, your non-effect monsters are unaffected by monster effects, so your stuff is super well protected if you have this on the field. Next is one of the most important cards in the deck, and that is Vessel for the Dragon Cycle. What this does is it lets you send a worm from the deck to the grave, so it's basically a Foolish Burial. But if you control a non-effect monster when you activate this, you also get to add a Tenyi to your hand. So if you control a non-effect monster and you activate this, you send something like Merere, or maybe you send a Shuna, and you add to your hand something else. The deck does have some issues with bricking from time to time, so we do run some draw power. The first is, because we run so many level 7s, we run Sacred Sword of 7 stars. It's effectively trade-in for level 7s. And we also run 2 copies of Pot of Desires. So this gives us some more draw power. The field spell does give us some, but this just gives us additional draw power to help us see the cards that we require to get our combos off. And finally, for the spells, we run 2 copies of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a great little card, obviously. Everyone knows what it does. It's the anti-hand trap card. This deck does like to search, and it does like to special summon from the deck, and so this is just sort of a way to make sure that we don't get Ash Blossomed. That does it for the spells. Alright, onto the traps. This deck has a small lineup of traps. First is Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi. This is so much fun to play with. It's your counter trap, it's your Omni Negate. It basically negates spells, traps, and monster effects. Does not negate summons, but it negates everything else. If this is destroyed, you get to special summon a non-effect monster from the extra deck. And this has just gotten so much better because of Master Rule 5. You no longer are forcing yourself to special summon that to your extra monster zone. You can now summon that anywhere on the field. We also run, because of the bricking issues, we run 2 copies of Waterfall of Dragon Souls. This has 2 effects. Some people forget the second. Everyone remembers that this is the Search a Worm card. This is the Worm's Rhoda. But this also has an effect which is send worms from your hand and field to the grave and draw that many cards plus 1. So sometimes it's beneficial to activate this and pitch all the worms in your hand to the grave, because the Tenyis all gain effects in the grave anyway, and draw 4 cards, or draw 3 cards. So this can sometimes be some draw power, but more often than not we are using it for whatever one remembers it for, which is the Worm Rhoda. And finally, we have 2 copies of Crackdown, just because taking stuff is really fun. That's really the reason. Also, if your opponent sees you play this, and they see you set a card, and that's actually the Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi, your opponent's more likely to hit your back row, hoping to get rid of the Crackdown in round 2. Alright, and that does it for the main deck. Let's get on to the extra deck. The extra deck is exactly 15 cards. There's not a ton of room in it. There are some cards that could be definitely wiggle room kind of cards. The first card we run, though, you have to run, and that is 3 copies of Monk of the Tenyi. This is the card you're going to go into most typically. It's a non-effect monster. It's Link 1. All it does is require a non-Link Tenyi monster. So this is basically what you're going to go into 9 out of 10 times as your opening play. Because he turns on all your Tenyi's effects, while also giving you an additional worm on the field. The next card you're going to probably go into will likely be Shaman of the Tenyi. Shaman of the Tenyi's got 2 effects. The first effect is that you can pitch a worm to special summon a worm. The pitch acts as a cost, so what you can do is you pitch a worm to special summon one from the grave, so you can pitch a worm and then special summon that exact monster that you pitched. So that's the first effect. The second effect is that if a battle occurs with a non-effect monster while this is on the field, destroy a card on your opponent's side of the field. So that can be extremely useful because when you pair this up with the Link 4, which we'll get to in a second, this can create a nutty lock with the Link 4 special ability. Next we run one Berserker of the Tenyi, just a non-effect, length 3. And we also run one Draco Masters of the Tenyi. This monster's really good too. If you have lots of non-effect monsters either in the grave or on the field, this is so useful to go into because you go into this, and especially going second, you can destroy cards, non-targeting, destroy cards on your opponent's side of the field equal to the number of non-effect monsters on your field and in your grave. And so that can be a complete board wipe in certain situations. So it's really good for going second. Also, he can't be destroyed by battle with an effect monster. And the final Tenyi card that we run in the extra deck is 2 copies of Tenyi Spirit Sahasrara. This new card from Dual Overload, 3000 attack, so useful. Really just, oh my god, it's so good for this deck. You can, as a quick effect, produce a token on your opponent's side of the field. So and the token is non-effect. Also, while you control a non-effect monster, your opponent cannot target effect monsters for battle or for card effects. So you couple this with Shaman of the Tenyi, and when your opponent starts to really combo off and they get to a big monster, you activate Tenyi Spirit of Sahasrara, you produce yourself a token that's got no effect on it. Your opponent has to attack the token. When they attack the token, Shaman's effect will go off. You destroy whatever it is that's attacking the token. Your opponent then has to attack the token again, but this time the token's likely to be the biggest monster on your side of the field. So you're more likely to run away with it and take your opponent's break your opponent's board that way. Also, your opponent has to, if your opponent doesn't want to go through battle, then your opponent is going to have to get rid of the token using a card effect, meaning that you do still have 2 big beat sticks on the board. Well, 1 big beat stick on the board who's sticking around. As I say, that does it for the Tenyis. We have a few more cards in the extra deck. We run 1 Naturia Beast because Gene Warped Warwolf is an Earth monster, so going into him is quite good, and Udhara is an Earth monster too, so Naturia Beast can be really useful for us. Also, sending stuff to grave really doesn't hurt us in the slightest, because all of our stuff gains effects while it's in the grave anyway. I did lie, I do apologize, we actually do run 1 more Tenyi, and that's Draco Berserker of the Tenyi. This is just such good removal. If your opponent's monster activates an effect, you can banish that monster. Also, if this card attacks a opponent's monster and sends that monster to the grave, he gains that monster's attack, and that's a permanent buff, so he just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We also run 1 copy of Baxia, Brightness of the Yangzing. It's just this is certainly good for going second. It does allow us to sort of try and break our opponent's board. That's really all we run it for. But honestly, the best level 8 that we can go into really is Borreload Savage Dragon. We're typically sending Link monsters to the grave, so Savage Dragon is a really good card for us to go into because we can bring back some of the Link monsters. You know, if we were to bring back a Link 3, like Berserker of the Tenyi, or even a Link 2, like Shaman, then, you know, we get a couple negates out of it, and our monster ends up our Borreload Savage Dragon ends up being quite large. Finally, we run 1 target that is specifically in here just for Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi, and that is our Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This card is so good in this deck. It is so much fun to have your opponent blow up your counter trap just to find that they're going to now be facing down a Blue Eyes Ultimate. It's really cool, especially if you've got Tenyi Spirit Sahasrara, Shaman of the Tenyi, and then you've got your Unrivaled Fists of the Tenyi face down. Your opponent pops the Unrivaled Fists of the Tenyi. Now your Sahasrara and your Shaman of the Tenyi, you don't even need to use Sahasrara's effect because Blue Eyes Ultimate is protecting both of them as a non-effect monster. Alright, and that does it for our extra deck. Alright, so my final thoughts on this. This deck is so much fun. The control element that it can have going first is really good. The board wipes it can have, especially with Draco Masters of the Tenyi, is really fun. And at the end of the day, this deck, is it going to win a locals? Probably. Is it going to win a regionals? Maybe. It could definitely steal some games at regionals. Is it going to win OICS? Like many other things you're going to find on this channel, probably not. But it is definitely going to let you have a lot of fun competing. With that, I'd like to say thank you guys for watching. Keep an eye on the channel. Test hands for this deck will be coming out later this week, hopefully by Wednesday. Also, make sure you leave us a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel for more videos. Check out the Facebook page, link in the description below, and I will see you guys at the next profile.